Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I'm Shahnaz Rahman, National Representative RSH Bangladesh. Safer programming is the key step to ensure our interaction and engagement with the staff, workers, and receivers of services, especially who are most at risk, is minutely considered and their rights to safeguarding is ensured. Our today's webinar on safer programming is designed to empower local civil society organizations operating in challenging contexts in Bangladesh to embed a conflict-sensitive safeguarding approaches. There will be a discussion on the challenges as well as the strategies that have worked well to reduce risk and support safer delivery of programming. The panel, today we have a wonderful panel with us. The panel will offer reflections, learning and best practices from Bangladesh as well as regional and global perspective. The RSH program that aims to support organization in the aid sector to strengthen their safeguarding policy and practices against sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment, SEAH. RSH supports organization working in both the humanitarian and development sectors, but is driven by the needs of a smaller national or local organization in the developing countries. RSH is funded by UK Aid, the UK government's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office to help organizations around the world, and is the consortium led by Options with Social Development Direct as the technical and delivery lead, and including the International Council of Voluntary Agencies, Teredesh Homes, Site Savers, and Clear Global. Let me now share you our today's agenda. So today we have our three panelists with us. The first panelist is Ogi Chukwudeze, who is RSH Global Safeguarding Advisor. She will share with us about the safer programming, the detail about the around the today's topic. Then we will move to Sabina Parvin. She is the Social Development Specialist, Gender and GBV in World Bank, Bangladesh. She will share her learning and concerns around safer programming in Bangladesh. Next, we will move to the last panelist. He will share us the challenges and some best practices from the local CSO while delivering the program, especially in the emergency context. That will be delivered by Arifur Rahman, Chief Executive IFSHA. The last would be the Q&A, where you can ask questions to the panelists and then closing. Additionally, several questions that will appear for you to provide us feedback on the event. Without any delay, let us go to our first speaker of today. Let me invite our first panelist, Ogi Chukwudeze, RSH Global Safeguarding Advisor. Ogi is working in this sector for more than 20 years and bring a lot of experience around safer programming. Over to you, Ogi.
Thank you very much, Shahnaz. I'm happy to be here. Hello all. So for today, we'll be looking at why safeguarding is important during emergency. And then we'll also talk more deeply about safer programming, which is the topic of our webinar. And we'll categorize safeguarding risks and then conclude. Next slide, please. Now, why is safeguarding important during emergency response? That's the question. So we know that in humanitarian settings that safeguarding risk actually diversify and multiply. So they exacerbate whatever risk. Safeguarding, is talking about prevention of harm. Do no harm is actually the fundamental principle that guides safeguarding. So when we talk about safeguarding risk, we are talking about harm, risk of harm due to sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, and also other harms, such as where people will ask for money in exchange for aid, for example. So this safeguarding risk actually diversify, they multiply, they exacerbate during emergency response because people are more vulnerable. Imagine people who are normally in their peace setting, and then a disaster strikes or a conflict, commences, and then, people lose their homes, people lose their livelihoods, people are now more vulnerable. So those who were originally vulnerable now become more vulnerable, and then the issue of power inequality increase, and safeguarding risk actually is based, the root cause of safeguarding risk and SIA is the power inequality. So these things actually increase when disaster or conflict arise. Now, the next point is that, violence against children increases in emergencies, and also violence against other minorities or other people who are already vulnerable. So imagine for children, you will have unaccompanied or separated children, children who had lost their parents during the conflicts or the disaster, and then, they don't even have any primary caregiver that is taking care of them. And then people who are living with disabilities, or you have new people living with disabilities because of the conflict. Maybe they've lost some limbs or lost some part of their body as a result of the conflict. So the risk of abuse is heightened, due to probably stigma, due to isolation, discrimination, and lack of support. Because of course, you all agree with me that during emergency, the support system actually breaks down. Now, the risk again of sexual exploitation increases during emergency, and you will agree with me that there is more tendency for sex for work, sex for food. Like people during emergency, people are really at the lowest ebb of their lives. So the people are like, they really want to survive. So it's about surviving without survival skills. And then to survive, lots of people now embrace what we call negative coping mechanisms, that's just to survive. So they can, utilize sex for food, just to be able to have food to eat. And then some NGOs now exploit this. So some staff of NGOs really exploit this because, these people are really at the lowest ebb, and then the NGO staff, have the food, have the resources that these people need. And then, like talking about, again, the different inequalities and the different harms, in a situation where trafficking, for example, has been happening in the normal setting, when disaster strikes, that trafficking will increase, so those are the risks that diversify and multiply and make safeguarding very important in emergency response. Let's have the next slide. And then the other thing, again, is about rapid recruitment. You all agree with me that during emergency, when emergency, strikes and NGOs, get funds to implement, there are there is need to really recruit staff a lot, because depending on the nature and the scale of the disaster. But there is usually like rapid recruitment, and then most times these things are done very fast, and then the process of due diligence sometimes is not thoroughly followed, because you need to really get people on fast, and then even getting time to take this staff through the policies so that they understand, it's also not there. So this is actually another major risk that emergency poses, as relates to safeguarding. Next one. Yeah, and then to talk about, again, you have stressed and exhausted staff. The staff who are working, responding to the emergency, like they are seeing people who are their lowest ebbs, and then maybe they're from that community. So there is that also emotional attachment, or even if they are not from that community, but and seeing people suffering actually puts it, and then like you have to do a lot, like there is always like activity, everything has to be done doubly fast, if not quadruple fast, and then staff are stressed. And then what does this mean? So when staff are stressed, it sometimes will lead to them making negative or wrong decisions. So they're not able to really make appropriate and good decisions again. And that might actually like cause harm to the people that are being served. And that's also like a harmful behavior. Yeah. The next one. So yeah, there is also another one, the great reliance on volunteers. And you still relating to rapid recruitment of staff. There's also rapid recruitment of volunteers, and people even come and say, I want to help, and then you think, oh, these people are actually like, they're really interested to help. Sometimes there is that genuine interest to help, and sometimes there's also other ulterior motive. But even when there is a genuine interest to help, not knowing how to help can actually cause further harm to the people. Yeah, I remember in Nigeria, there's a program that we are delivering, and it's actually around the Boko Haram crisis, and then the host community. Actually, we are now agitating against the IDPs because we have lots of people were displaced, and then they moved from their original community to this new community. And then, so the host communities at a point, they accepted them, but at a point when they see that most of the resources and support that NGOs provide is to the displaced community. So the host community are saying, but we are sharing everything with them, and then you are not giving us anything. So that, again, can cause harm. So if the volunteers and the staff are not able to really reason and plan the program, then that actually can cause harm. Yes, let's move to the next. So yeah, so that leads us to safer programming, and how even if it's not CR risk like sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, how you plan and design your program can actually cause harm. So safer programming aims to ensure that as far as possible, the community and people affected by crisis are safeguarded from intentional and unintentional harm caused by the program design or implementation of activities, including even the monitoring and evaluation work. So the unintentional harm, so you can imagine the example I gave where, the host communities were agitating, and they would have actually started causing harm and, maybe kick out the IDPs because they are now feeling that they are being neglected and the support only given to the IDPs, so which will now cause harm. So because it's your programming, you're actually like responsible for that. And for program design, yes, when there is no risk assessment, to really determine what are the issues, to be able to, to bring in the voices of the people you want to support, having that rapid assessment. Even in emergency response, there is rapid assessment that you need to do, so even that, bringing in the idea, the experience of SEER and safeguarding to identify what safeguarding risks are there. And then for program design, again, when program is not delivered by staff, who are knowledgeable about safeguarding and know how to prevent safeguarding risk, then that can also cause harm. And then even in program monitoring, lots of people, you don't know that, like safeguarding is actually linked to program monitoring when you do not monitor safeguarding. And then even when community-based mechanisms are not designed with the community, responsible, when the organization does not have clear pathway to actually respond to issues, these things can actually be, unintentional harm. Yeah, let's have the next one. So yeah, safeguarding risk are essential to determine what mitigation is necessary. So it's important to have your risk assessment and then have your mitigation plan and then work with the mitigation plan. I always tell people it's important to do your risk assessment. Risk assessment, sometimes people shy away and like, risk assessment doesn't mean that those risks are already happening, because sometimes that's what organizations think. Oh, are we already saying that staff are so bad that they will do this? No, but it's just like having the worst case scenario in mind and planning for the better. Next slide. Next, yeah. In practice, safe programming includes identifying, assessing, mitigating, and managing the risk of harm and abuse that may be caused by CSO staff, the program design, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation, like I've said. Yeah, let's have the next one, please. Yeah, so safeguarding risk assessments identify potential risk, which when mitigated supports safe programming. So we have that risk assessment, and then when mitigated, like I've explained, then it will support your safer programming, so that you'll be able to deliver without causing harm. Bearing that mindset, that lens, do no harm. So in any way, you don't want to cause further harm to the people. Yes, talking about, just have all of them out. Talking about categorizing safeguarding risk, so safeguarding risk can actually have there are different aspects that you need to think about. Think about the context and the external environments. And so this actually, it's about the social norms in that community or the location where the program or the emergency response is happening. What are the risks? What is the external environment like, including the social norms, including national laws, including systems, so these things help where there are no child protection systems, or where the social norm actually puts women as lesser, that shouldn't be heard. When you have that at the back of your mind in your risk assessment, then you'll be able to really identify mitigation measures, because the staff you also bring in, are a reflection of the community, especially the national staff, so they're also a reflection of the community. So it's important to realize that. And then the program, we've talked about the program risk and how you need to consider safeguarding risk in your program design, in your program monitoring, in complaints-based mechanism, program implementation and everything. So really ensure that safeguarding risk is incorporated. And then you have your partners. It's also like links. All these are links. You're implementing through partners. Do your partners, are they aware? Do they understand what safeguarding? It goes beyond just including safeguarding policy in your MOU and say, you have to sign this. It goes beyond that. They really need to understand what it means so that they also will be able to implement that. And then, as the funder or the one that is sub-granting, you need to also build the capacity of your partners. And then you have media and communications, the risk that taking pictures and where people might really exploit that and take inappropriate pictures, or you bring in media journalists or communication consultants and they don't understand the system and they're exploiting the beneficiaries, or the program participants, again, those are the risks. Human resources, we've talked about that, the rapid recruitment of staff. So you need to really ensure that the staff, that you have your due diligence, irrespective whether it's an emergency. However, you can actually fast track it, not make sure that you complete the whole process in a short time rather than delaying, but it's important that it's done. And then governance and leadership is essential, where the organization has that support system, has the enabling environment, provides a safe culture for the program, because where the staff do not feel safe, then they cannot go out and give safe programming. Yeah, let's have the next one. So in conclusion, these are the key points to remember. Safer programming is about ensuring organizations do not cause harm. So that should be what's ringing in your head. Do no harm, do no harm, do no harm. It's synonymous to safeguarding and safer programming, yes. Those at risk of harm are the community and people affected by crisis. So the community and the people affected by crisis are should be at the center of our response. They're actually the ones that are at risk of harm. Yeah, different people are impacted differently, inversely by harm. So women and girls are most at risk. You have unaccompanied and separated children, you have persons with disability, you have people who face other types of discrimination, probably because of their nationality, their ethnicity. These groups are at higher risk. So as you're designing your program, you bear that in mind. As you're designing your complaints and feedback mechanism, you bear that in mind, that women and girls, you need to make sure that your complaint system is safe enough for girls to report, for persons with disability to report, for those who are marginalized and discriminated to still be able to access it and report safely. All relevant staff and associates should understand their role in ensuring safer programming. So it's important that you train your staff and volunteers and consultants and everybody that's related to delivering the programs. Organizational culture, yes, I mentioned that earlier. Organizational culture should promote a safe working environment for staff and associates. So that's that's all I have for this point. So I'll hand over back to Shanaz, our chair, to continue the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oge. It was very informative. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions related to the presentation, please use our Q&A chat box and put your questions there. We will come back to you during the Q&A session. Thank you, Oge. Next, we will move to our next panelist, Sabina Parvin, Social Development Specialist, Gender and GBV in the World Bank. Sabina has been working in this sector long time, and she has been working on protection, DRR, gender, safeguarding, all these aspects. So my question to Sabina would be that you have been working with different agencies and around the safeguarding issues. So what has been your perspective? What has been your major concerns that you have identified around safer programming, especially while working with the local organization? And we would also love to hear that what were major learnings around safer programming? What have you found that worked well in terms of conflict responsive situation? Over to you, Sabina.
Thank you, Shanazaba. Hope that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for this opportunity for this program, and hello everyone who joined. I know that you all are busy, but still you are joining. I hope that today we can all learn something. It will help us in our work as well. So yeah, what Shanazaba, thank you Ogi for this beautiful nice presentation, and I also learned a lot that what is actually safer programming. From my experience, like all the time during working with NGOs, even national NGO, INGO, UN, now I am working with the World Bank. So my experience is bit. Hello. Okay, can you hear me now clearly?
Yes, go on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because I'm facing some problem like short throat. Sorry for that. I apologize. So yeah, so I have the mixed experience working with different organization, from implementing partner up to donor. So I can share like how still it's a challenging for us to address CISH in emergency, especially because society like Bangladesh, where SCA, SH or GBB, these are very much deep rooted. In society there is some high level of acceptance that these are very normal. So why people will report. So in this situation, when Ogi said like that, when an emergency strike, so the situation has been changed. Like the vulnerability increased, the social protection system broke down. So everything is like in a like very doubled the risk, the vulnerability. So where everyone is at risk, the vulnerable groups who are in a development settings are also more at risk than the others. So what I observed during whole my career or as a humanitarian worker in implementing partner or INGOs. So there is always when we do programming or designing the program in emergency situation, there is always a shortcut way. So we are always trying to do something very fast, very rapid. So there is always a pressure from the donor community that you have to do by 2 days, by 1 days, and you have lots of deliverable within a very short time, which is actually making sometimes the program with lots of loopholes. That loopholes actually create this CISH sometime. So this is one issue that actually concern for me regarding this safer programming. So another issue is like the when we have the very short deadline, we are recruiting the people. Even we don't have time to check the reference whether this person has any record of CISH in other organization or other places. So these are very much risky, that how what Ogi said, like the do no harm, always we have to think. So maybe we are thinking, okay, we are doing something good for the people who are in distress. but maybe we are bringing some more risky people, maybe perpetrator, to support them, which is actually making their life more vulnerable, or the situation is going to be very bad for them. So this is the another issues I always observed during this programming or in emergency. Another issue I can like say, we are when there is emergency strike, so we are do everything in a very hurry without screening the risk. So when there is no screening of the risk, just we are doing focusing on the situation. And another issues I should like, what we always think that we are doing something very good for them without knowing the situation, knowing the risk, the vulnerable groups properly, because we recruit the people very fast, we don't have any preparation, we don't have the risk mitigation, we are actually doing the harm for them. Like nowadays, maybe donors are very much interested on addressing the safeguard issues, CISH. But when I worked in that sector, like few years ago, that time it was not actually given importance by the donors, by the NGOs, by the local NGOs. And the capacity gap of addressing CISH, especially understanding by the local NGOs, this is still a challenge, I think, because nowadays, like when I am working with World Bank, we have number of projects in Cox's Bazar. Still, we are facing problem that the local NGOs who are implementing the projects, they have still gap in understanding of CISH. Because if you don't understand it, you can't address it. So this, my whole career, I face this problem working with the local NGOs, especially that understanding of CISH. Maybe at mid-level officials, but senior officials, they know because they got the opportunity to learn, to have the training, but the field level stuffs, there's a lots of gaps in understanding the CISH. So these are the main issue what I always observed. And another big challenge is monitoring. We are always trying to monitor the program effectiveness, activity effectiveness, but very less monitoring on CISH. Because when the monitoring people are going, or the program managers are monitoring the projects, they are always trying to look into the impact or inputs, but they are not trying to see whether these inputs or these outputs or the impacts were risk free or not. What happened to these people during the whole process, where you are seeing only the impact. So I think that this also, there is a gap in monitoring, because I already said that this is the capacity issue of that organizations, how they understand these things should be addressed, the CISH especially, the safeguard issues. So these are very much important. And like from my experience, now all the organization, even I visit the local NGOs, INGOs, they all have the policies. You can go to the offices, you can find very good policies on CISH. But if you will go to the field, you find like very less initiative, because the staffs are not aware about the CISH. They don't know where to report. The community people don't, like, they are not aware about this CISH. They don't know where to report. So these are the main challenge, actually, what I always see in my like working in these sectors. And also like the accountability mechanism, there is a missing of accountability mechanism from all sides, even from the local NGOs, because sometimes, we are always trying to blame that, okay, local NGOs are not ensuring. But I think this accountability mechanism, donors, INGOs, implementing partner, local NGOs, all should be there. All are accountable to ensure the safer programming for the community people who are at risk. no one can say like that this is not my responsibility. So if there any incident will happen, I think that from local NGO to donor, everyone should be accountable for this. So this is missing. I always felt like this is a missing part in all the process of safer programming, especially addressing CISH in emergency. So these are always like, I feel, I think that it should be addressed anyhow in your project design through the risk mitigation measures. So yeah, still we work a lot. This hub is also working. NGOs, maybe Arif Bhai will also share something that what works well, and still we are trying to do best or better. So these are like very much important, and we try to do something from our level to make the program safe. Like we did some risk screening in our World Bank project. Any project we design, we have the screening risk screening things. Then we design actually like the present existing gender like situation or the GBV situation in Bangladesh, then the present emergency situation, what are the risk factors, then we compare and do the screening, which actually help us to develop a mitigation plan, that these risks are there, so we have to develop the mitigation plan. Awareness raising, we did number of like capacity building training for staffs, volunteers, community leaders, community people, so that they are aware what is CISH. Because if they don't have both party, like staffs, organizations, and the community people, both parties should be aware in a same page that what is CISH and how to address it, how to respond to it. Another one is very important. We developed some code of conduct for staffs, which actually help to hold them accountable for this kind of activities. Another one is like already Ogi said, do no harm approach. We applied uh, full whole the from project planning to project evaluation. Even we are doing this whole do no harm approach everywhere, so that we can say makes people safe. Another one is capacity building. We did lot of training for the NGO, local NGOs, partner, and even government officials who are involved in the whole process of this humanitarian response. So this is very much important to capacity build. And I would really like to request the donor agencies especially that keep some budget for the capacity building of the local partners, not during the emergency, as part of the preparedness. Because this is not possible that a 3 months emergency response, you will do this training. Rather than you can have this training before, so that the organization will be prepared to respond in a safer way. They can design the project in a safer way. And also we did some organization like the pool of volunteers, make some pool for the staffs, consultants, contractor, and do the reference check before any emergency. So you have some data that they are safe. They don't have this kind of records of CISH, so that you can recruit immediately these people and you can do a very good programming. So I think that this all the things what I shared, this works well, but we have to go a long way. We have to go a long way, especially working with the community to make them understand what CIS is. This is still a big challenge and gap. So thank you. Over to you, Shana Zapa. And if you have any question in chat box, I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for sharing your very important learning and perspective, especially from the country context. You have mentioned some challenges for being working in the developing country, especially working in the humanitarian response. How challenging is it for a local organization to ensure, to talk about, to ensure funding and ensuring safer programming at the organizational level. And you also highlighted the responsibility of everyone that engaged, organizational staff, donor, community leader, everybody. Safeguarding is the service receivers' rights, and it's responsibility for us who are designing or bringing program for them. So thank you, Sabina Appa. Now we would move to Arifur Rahman, Chief Executive IFSHA. Arif Bhai will share the major challenges from a Arif Bhai is working in the Chittagong division and also working in the Cox's Bazar Rohingya response. So he would be sharing the aspects of the field aspects, what has been the major challenges, and also he will be sharing some best practices from his organization. Over to you, Arif Bhai.
Thank you, Shahnaz Appa. So it's a great opportunity for us, as a local level activist and also the practitioners at the ground zero. So it's like a great honor for us to share our some hands-on experiences with the audience. I work with IFSHA. IFSHA stands for Young Power in Social Action. This is like a local organization. We are affiliated with the United Nations we have like a special consultative status with the UN ECOSOC. So IFSHA started its journey in 1985 as a local organization, and especially in last 3 decades, we have responded all natural and man-made disaster in the southeastern part of Bangladesh. So we had a vast experiences to handling with the disaster and emergency situation. And currently also we are working with the Rohingya community and also the host community in the Cox's Bazar. And IFSHA itself is like though it's a local CSO, but we have also the huge team member, around 3,000 people we working together. And also we have more than 100 offices are located in different parts of the southeastern part of Bangladesh. So these are the few information about our organization. The safer programming, safeguarding is like one of the very important issue for us as organization. We had also the bitter experience on the safeguarding issues, and also we are also doing our regular practices and with our team members, with all the beneficiaries and as well. So next slide, please. So these are the information about our organization. So now I would like to share with you our main the issues. As a CSO, what types of challenges we are facing. As a local CSO, we have seen the lack of knowledge on the safer program issues. This is one of the big issues. Already other panelists, they also mentioned about that. And then resources, the required resources, this is also the big lack, and also the very specific doable guidelines of the safer programming. This is the a lack at the local level CSOs. And also the shortage of dedicated skilled manpower who can monitor and respond the safeguarding risk factors. So as a local CSO, we have a very limited resources and we are working with a very limited human resources. So there is a shortage of dedicated skilled manpower who can monitor regularly and respond to all risk factor. And then all the projects, especially the projects are dealing with the emergency issues, all of the a short-term project. All the donors, they give us money for in case of the Rohingya issues, a 6 month. Now it's going to be 1 year, but mostly the projects are a 6 month the projects. So the project short term, the nature of the projects, this is also to implement that projects. So the organization has a rapid recruitment. So when we recruit rapidly to implement our projects, so it's a very hard and also sometimes impossible to recheck or deeply check all the previous records of the team member. Next point is next challenges is the job nature. As the staff who were involved with the emergency program, they are away from their family for the long time. Especially in the Rohingya response program, because of the very hard to reach or very hard working area, the staff, they are away from their family. So this may develop some risky behavior with that team members. That's also we have noticed it. And the next challenges is the number of protection and safeguarding related programs and interventions is decreasing day by day, because you see all the donors, they are giving money for life-saving the program interventions. And as a local CSO, we are also implementing the very essential and the needful programs or the projects for the Rohingya community and the host community. But what we have seen, the day by day, the interventions and the program interventions are decreasing because of the funding limitations. So and also as a local CSO, we are not able to invest our own resources to develop our own capacity. And another one is the lack of CSO sustainability and the safe programming. Because of the local CSOs, they get money for program delivery. They're not getting enough overhead cost or the management cost, which can lead to organizational sustainability and also ensuring the safer programming. So means that the institutional capacity building on safeguarding, this is also one of the a lack of support what we have understand. And then last one is the existing content and materials are not fully accessible. The most of materials are in English, and also the local people who are using the local dialect. So it's very hard for them to understand because of the existing content and the materials are not fully accessible. The lack of native content or the Bengali content we have seen. So there's a huge scope to work on that issue. So these are the major challenges as a CSO we are facing. And the challenges are everywhere, but as a local CSO, we are trying to improve ourselves. As I already mentioned about that, our organization, we also faced a huge challenge and the obstacles which is related to the safeguarding issue. So we are practicing with our limited resource, with our limited effort, but there are some best practices what I can share with the audience. So one of the best the practice is the implement a safeguarding framework, which is and also the zero tolerance policy and the other related policy are in the workplace. And then that policy clearly outlining the consequences of violent behavior and emphasizing the importance of maintaining a safe work environment that consequently helps reduce the risk of organizational safeguarding concerns. And in our organization, that framework and the zero tolerance policy at all level, we orient our team members. We have given the training and orientation program, and all the policies are available with the team members national guiding concerns. Then the next best practices what I'd like to share is that the popular version of the safeguarding booklet we have made in our own language, and then we use the pictorial subjects so that the people can understand about the safeguarding issue, and increasing the number of for that reason we have seen that make it easier for workers to understand, and thereby increasing the number of incident reports. And after this, the safeguarding booklet and the orientations, and we have seen the number of incident reports are increasing, and these are being addressed properly. And we have developed the very trained investigators full and then through investigation process. So all the incidents are addressed very appropriately. And then regularly we are conducting the refreshers training with our team members, and especially like a code of conduct, and then safeguarding policy, and then communication systems. So these are the a regular interventions within our organization, within our limited resources. We are trying to continue it. So through this way, we are developing our capacity ourselves, because we are not only depending on we are not waiting for donor or external support. We are improving ourselves so that we can face the challenges, and we can improve our safeguarding, and we can ensure the safer programming. The next slide, please. And I can share a more best practices is a comprehensive complaint and reporting channel through hotline, a number, the email address, and the suggestion and complaint box in every offices, and the community-based complaint mechanism we have established, and the dedicated and trained focal person we have established to respond and address the safeguarding complaints. So any people, they can send their complaint through different channel. So there is no barrier. So 24 hours is open to reach and then send their complaints. And there is a dedicated focal person we have established who can respond and then address all the safeguarding complaints. So every complaint is important for us. So that we have ensured. And different types of the communications material we have developed. That IC materials are sending to all offices, to our working area, and also we are using the social media, our website, to inform people and to communicate with our people. So and also the reporting channel and the IC materials. So inside the organization and outside the organization, so everybody know about the reporting channel and also the complaint, the mechanism issues. And then the next one is, conduct a child safeguarding risk management before events and take necessary mitigation. As we are implementing organization, we are implementing various types of projects at the camp level, at the host community, and also very hard to reach area. So each events or each the program, we conduct a child safeguarding risk management. And then before events, we always conduct it and then take necessary mitigation measure based on the risk management issues, so that all the events and the programs at the field level should ensure the program are safer. And then reference check is the part of the recruitment process, so that no perpetrator entry take places. So all the regular recruitment, and also the though we have a limitation, but in the emergency program also, every person during the recruitment or the confirmation of their job, so we checked all the possible references, and then we have a logbook, so that we maintain all the information of the people who are already convicted for their behavior, or they are not able to join in the other organizations. So our reference check, always we are open to the other organizations. So if any organization check with our HR department, they provide all the information to them. So the incident log, I mentioned about that. So we have established a system for tracing accuser. So this is very important for our organization, at the same time also support to the other organization. And then policies are periodically reviewed and updated. So we consulted with our donor, the government officials, and also the lawyer. Periodically, we reviewed it and then updated our policy to make it more appropriate and more doable. So this is like an ongoing process. So all the related the policies to ensure a safer programming within the organization and outside of the organization. So all the policies are periodically reviewed. So,
thank you so much, Arif Bhai.
Yeah.
That was really quite a very in-depth sharing, and I really appreciate the best practices that you have shared. This is really wonderful, and I'm sure the local organization today, we have many colleagues with us from different organizations, and I'm sure that they will be reaching out to you and would be maybe would love to learn more about especially about the best practices. So there was I saw a specific question about your booklet. If the booklet is the booklet public for everyone, so everyone can can you quickly respond on that?
Yes,
if the resources are public.
Yeah, it's a public, and you can download it from our website, or you can communicate with our any office so that you can get the hard copy.
We will share then the website link. So thank you so much, Arif Bhai. And now we will move to the Q&A section, and the question you have, there are many questions around the presentation and also the booklet and sources. So you can see the link of our website in the chat box. So RSH have more than actually more than 15,000, more than million actually resources in the website. So based on your demand, you can search. We also have resources that is developed and contextualized in local language in Bangla. So you can find the local resources in local language as well. So please visit our website. We will share you the recording, and also we will share you the slides that we have been presenting. Also, we will share you the website link of IFSHA so that you can collect resources from IFSHA as well. There was, I see there are many comments around the community situation. You mentioned that the children and women in the Rohingya community are vulnerable, and they actually not very much careful about their children. Yes, this is something about the protection concern within the community, and everybody, all the aid worker is working on that. But when we talk about safeguarding, as an agency, it's our responsibility. We ensure our programming, our engagement with the receiver of the services is safe as much as possible. We assess the risk and we try to make it safer. There is a question also around some tools and technologies around power, skills, and expertise. Please visit our website. You will find the many tools. Even we will find the how to note safer program, how to note and deliver safer program that you will find in Bangla. So we will, while we will be sharing you the recording and presentation, we will also share you the link of some Bangla resources. So keep visiting us. You will find many resources and tools. You have also mentioned about the child-friendly messages and tools and resources. We have the resources, how to communicate and conduct consultation with the children. Go to our resource library and you will find a lot of resources are related to how to communicate and message and work with the children. We have resources from RSH, and we also have resources from many organizations, national, international, working globally. So you can also find from there. We also have received some comment about about working in Cox's Bazar, hiring staff, especially hiring quality staff for doing the response. Definitely, this is something we need to be very careful. As Oge was mentioning, that safer programming is part of our governance, leadership, organizational culture. So we make sure that our recruitment procedures are safer, that ensure that we recruit the right person. So that is very important. You can find out this document related to how to ensure safer recruitment. You will find that in our website. So you can look at that document and use that. And I see there are around the PPT. Yes, definitely we will find the slides, recording and everything. Those were the questions. Accountability, there was a question around the accountability. Yes, the resources around accountability will also find safeguarding reporting mechanism, and also accountability mechanism is something we need to look at, and they will find that. Sabina, is it something you want to add from the World Bank perspective? After your discussion, there was a quick question around accountability.
No, thank you. I know the time is running out. So just adding that, I was trying to say like that it's not only the implementing partners accountability, it's everyone's accountability, that we are going to save the people who are at risk. So if the donors or INGOs are thinking that, okay, this is not our issues, so keeping budget, giving this a capacity building initiative for NGOs, which actually make everyone's accountable in that process. Otherwise, just giving all the responsibility to the implementing partner, it actually not ensure any safer programming. That was, I was trying that we all are accountable. So you have to be there as from your perspective. Everyone has responsibility to ensure safer programming. So yeah, and I hope that RSH has this kind of document, so anyone can reach out. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sabinapa. I would like to thank our panelists, our today's panelists, and it was great discussion, and it was some great and very good questions from the audience. I really appreciate your interest to learn around safeguarding. And someone has mentioned that does it conflict with the law? Definitely it doesn't conflict with the law. Safeguarding is aligned with our country law, and there are even areas around in safeguarding that goes beyond to the existing law, where agencies are working to further strengthening of the country law for safeguarding. That's all the time we had actually today. Once more, I thank the panelists for the very informative presentation and discussion. As well as related resources, I refer the resources. So we have the link of our website in the chat box. Please visit our website, and we really appreciate your very spontaneous engagement, questions, and for being with us. Thank you, everyone. I hope we will connect with you very quite soon. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely rest of the day.